awful lot through hypnosis to help you change patterns and change thoughts and the way that you function in life, if the way that you're functioning is not the way you want to function. But I've been doing past life regression now for a good while, and have worked through that and worked with people at a past life regression level, which we were able to clear up old patterns that were very stuck. Some people will come to me with issues that they just don't know where they came from. So they've never had that experience in this life. It's something that's never occurred to them before. And so we start working in through what we call past life regression, where we go look at other lives that this person has lived in their soul experience. So as I'm working away, I run into some tough clients here and there. We do all the regular hypnotic things, and there's still something. And the biggest problem that people have in changing is, and this is it, if I have to just put one thing to it, the one thing that is the biggest problem in making a change is that we do not value ourselves enough to do that change. We're putting all of that love and care externally, and we are not giving ourselves the love and care that we would give others. And that is the biggest issue. And sometimes it's just not, even when we fix it in this current life that we're living, or we fix it in the past life, we still are getting manifestations of it in their life. And so I just got to working and thinking, and of course I know, we've all heard of quantum hypnosis, which past life regression is a bit like quantum hypnosis, where we're going into a space and place other than one we exist in at this time. So I got to thinking, why can we not go back into the soul and find out what the soul has to say about all this? What in the world is the soul going to say about what's happening? How is it going to answer the questions? And in this, I've devised 3 different methods where we go back and look at the soul, and we look at its plan, its purpose, and what it hopes to gain from the experience when it comes to the planet in the form of who that person is today. So we go through all those processes. Then we start looking at relationships, but not relationships as they are right now. Relationships at the soul level, the preparation, the desire for what they want to learn. You name it, we start looking at that. We start looking at all those things. And then we go in and look at any subject, any issue that we're looking at, and we're looking at it from the level of the soul. And basically, if you look at it this way, we're looking at it from the view of the universe, the universal view, our soul's universal view of us as, I call myself the organism Mary, because I am an organism, okay? That sounds weird, but one thing I've learned about doing this type of work is you have to be quite specific on how you term things and people and actions. Otherwise, you don't get what you want. So basically, when we talk about hypnosis for the soul, we are looking for the deepest place that this problem can be, the very first place. And we work through the subconscious mind, we work through the higher self, what they want, what they need, what's their perception of what's happening now, and what was their perception of what they were planning. Now, I've had some pretty cool experiences doing this. I've had one client who, when we got her back to her origins at existence, the arms started going around and doing things, and I asked, what's going on? I don't know, I just have to do this. And I'm like, well, okay, so we will do that. And her hands were going different ways, and certain things I'd say her hands would go up, and we haven't quite figured out what that's all about yet, but that was her part of her soul experience. And she was able to relate to me different things that we asked about purpose, and when we asked about purpose, when we asked about what we wanted to learn and all of those things. So that was a very interesting one. just sort of a different physical manifestation. Also, then she'd start bursting out laughing every now and then, and I would say, "And what's funny? Why are you laughing?" "I don't know. I just have to laugh." And I'm like, "Well, okay, then we can do that." So sometimes we don't always get the complete answer, but we do get answers. Um, I've had that experience. I've also had another experience in which this person went back to their soul experience, and there was a lot of almost like mechanization within the energy field. Very, how do I put this? The information was very relayed in a very practical, like reading an instruction book, and I found that interesting. And different things, and in that energy, uh, in that particular system that we worked, we found that this person had a disconnect somewhere, and that the soul or energy from that end was unable to do the connection. It just didn't have the capacity to make that connection, whatever the connection was. I forget exactly. And then I was asked to help make that connection. And we did. And what the funny thing about this thing was, it was so interesting, is exact time. Now this person is in trance, their eyes are closed, and at the exact time that I did the connection and had my hands held in a particular way, that person had their hands came together in the very same way that mine were. And that happened a second time with a different position. So that for me was it was like exciting. It was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. This is truly some energetic system that I'm working with. And so I was able to be, I find that sometimes I'm observatory with, with being able to be interactive with asking and directing. And in that experience, I was participatory in actually helping the energy and the client connect. So I've had some really, really cool experiences. But the bottom line is as I'm working at these levels with people, things that have been problems for years, most of their life or all of their life, disappear. They're gone. Just like that. This one particular client I had was having issues around parents, father in particular. And after our first soul session, I said, "So how are things, with the dad and everything?" He said, "Do you know what? I hadn't thought of it but now that you've asked me," he said, "I was over visiting my family." He said, "And there would have been things that would have irritated me." He said, "But it didn't matter." And I just said what I thought and said, "Please don't do that. Please wash your hands because, we don't want to be passing COVID." And he said, "But I wasn't irritated. I wasn't angry. I wasn't upset. It just was what it was." And so that was amazingly cool. I really, really thought that was amazing. That it was just within one session, all of this angst and perception of that particular person within their life changed just like that. Just like that. For another client, let's go back to the lady we were talking about. The first time that we did a soul session with her, it took her probably about 20 or 30 minutes almost to realize she was back here on this planet. There was they had left the building and sent me a text and said, "I thought there was an apocalypse." I said, "You thought there was an apocalypse? Why?" She says, "I was walking around and everybody had masks. I forgot everybody was wearing masks. I forgot we were having to wear masks." I said, "That's okay." I said, "It's just a little lag time. You'll catch up. Everything will be okay, and you're going to be okay." And so it was very interesting there. So we are only at the very beginnings of this sort of interaction. About 2 years at the last RDS open event that we had, that we were actually in presence, I introduced, I think it was in 2017, I introduced my new system called the Grid, Well, what I've done now is I've taken the grid and I have gone farther and focused on origins and focused on um, interactions at the soul level, not interactions as we are now, interactions at the soul level. What do they want? What are we looking for? And how in the world do we get that? So, this has been my experience so far. And again, when I'm working at this level, when we get results, they're very deep results because we're at the root of the problem. We're at the root space, the beginning space, uh, where all of these things have happened and all of these things are occurring. And the soul is looking for an experience. And how am I going to get that? And what do I want? What do I want to learn? Who do I want to be? So, and these are all practical questions. Practical questions as we start looking at the energy of the soul in its complete and entire existence in the universe, and just kind of ask it for the blueprints. Show us what you want. Show us how we're going to accomplish this. Show us what we need to do to help you accomplish this. Show us what went off the tracks here. Where did we get off the railroad track, and how do we get back on the tracks? And again, it has been fascinating, and it has been interesting, and I have completely enjoyed doing the work with this. The good news is that I'm going to be opening a program in January in which we're going to be doing a series of 3 to 5 sessions called Hypnosis for the Soul, in which we're going to be incorporating hypnotic techniques along with energy healing as we're working to help people get to the roots of the problem and go ahead and start making that change in their lives that they want today. We'll be doing that probably around the 15th of January. I'm getting ready to start putting that all out, so keep an eye out for that. It'll be on the website. Hopefully by later today I'll have this all organized, because again, it's all new. Some of this stuff only happened in the last couple of weeks, so it's all real new and really in its infant stages. But we're going to get that program developed so that we can start working with people in a very deep way to help make these deep changes faster, quicker, less sessions. Right now, when I work with people, pending on what's going on, we do I'll do a minimum of 4, up to 8, sometimes up to 12 or 24, pending on the problem that we're dealing with. And with this system, we may be able to cut that down quite a bit. So I'm really excited with that, and I hope you are too. And if you have questions, by all means, I don't know if you can make comments here. If you can, please do. If you can't, you can find me on Messenger, Mary Kay Anderson, or you can email me, vibrationalinstitute@gmail.com. So if you have any questions or ideas, please, by all means, send me a question, send me a thought, or go to my page, which is this we're being linked from right now, Facebook.com/Vibe Institute. And just leave me a message, and I'll be more than glad to get back to you and answer any questions that you have. The other thing that I found when we're doing this deep work, we have kinetic responses. In other words, the body begins to respond. I've had people, one gentleman that I took back, I think I worked with him a couple months ago, and he said he was he said he could tell in the middle of the session, he started having body quivers all over. And when we were all done, he said, I feel all tingly. He said, I feel like my whole body is tingling in such a way. I said, I've never felt anything like this before. Also, when I've had clients come in and grab their chest and start crying and sobbing, and we're like, okay, what's going on? So we're able then to work through the body sometimes as well with this, because that connection's there. That connection, the soul realizes that heartfelt thing that it wants to do or needs to do isn't being done. And there's this grief that has been outpoured. And so we begin to connect then, start working and connecting the existence down through into the body. So as I say, there's nothing we can't do. And there's nothing that can't be fixed or changed as long as we find the way to do it. And this is me. I'm on my little trails now, trying to look for new and different ways to get things done and get them done quicker for the benefit of the client, for the benefit of their life, for the benefit of their family, so that we can help them make these changes and get them implemented and get them on their way. There's lots and lots going on with this, but so let me just go back and review now. And again, if you have any questions, if you can post them here, please do. If you can't, you can email me, vibrationalinstitute@gmail.com, or messenger me on Messenger. Okay? All right. So basically, as a therapist, what we're working through is first we have the body and the mind, all right? And we work through how the mind has programmed this body to function, all right, through ages 1 through 7, because that's what we do. 1 through 7 is all about figuring out what works to keep us safe, because that's what the subconscious does. And then 7 to 9, the programming goes in and says, all right, this is good, this is bad. Okay, boom, 9 years old, we kind of figured what's going to work and what's not. And sometimes the 9-year-olds win in your life. I know they do mine every now and then. So we have that. Then we go to the next layer, in which we start to bring in and work with the higher self to interact. And then once we've accomplished that stage, then we move to existential, or to the part of us that exists as energy within the universe. And this is how we connect into that part of you that is at the very core of this existence that you know as who you are, okay? That you know as, or that I know as Mary, or that everybody else knows as their name, George, France, you know, a Mary, whoever else. And then we begin to connect the intended life and see where the differences are between the intended life and the actual life, and what they are doing or not doing. And then we go through the therapeutics in order to make those things happen. Again, we also look at the relationships, not the relationships as they are, but the relationships as they were intended. This is all about what was the intention of this life? What was the intention of this soul? What was the intention of those around this soul, and what they were going to do and what they were going to be? Let me see. I'm trying to think what else. This is so, basically, it's new, it's exciting. I'm having a great time working with it. I'm getting some pretty amazing results with different people, doing different things. On one of the sessions that I did when I very first started doing the grid, I had a hypnosis client, and this girl had only come for her first session, and she came back for her second session, and then she told me she was going to be leaving for 3 weeks. And I'm like, gosh, I really need to do something really good for her to kind of tide her over these 3 weeks, because it was kind of early to be going 3 weeks before her next session. And so this is when I decided I would implement the grid, which is what I call a total energy detox for the soul. So I did her gridding, which I call the gridding. And once we did it, she came back, and I said, so tell me, how did you do? And she said, well, the first 2 weeks were horrible. I said, okay, fair enough, and I'll explain that comment to you in just a moment. I said, that's fair enough, but then what happened after that? She said, after that, everything was amazing. Everything was good. I felt well. Nothing seemed to be going crappy on me. She said everything was going really well. So I started doing my usual questioning with her, which we do emotion. One of the biggest things, I check emotions, emotional status. Where is it? How are you rating it? Is it better? Is it worse? All of that good stuff. Every answer I got in response from her was answers that I would be getting at the next to the last or last session. So I had to pull the file out. I had to really go. I said, excuse me just a minute. I couldn't remember what I'd done the session before. It was like 3-4 weeks ago. So I went through the file, and I went through everything, and I went, oh my God, I had done her grids the week before. I mean, the before when she left, the 3-4 weeks before. And within that, she had made such progress just by do that simple detox on that soul level. And it was just amazing. And that's when I knew that I was onto something, and incorporated the grid into all of my sessions so that I can help eliminate anything that we don't know about, because we know about what's in us and around us, okay? But there are parts of our energy that are being affected by things that we have no idea what they are, why they are, or whether or not these things are affecting us in a negative way. So by going through and clearing the gridding out from where they come, where the existence begins and into the body, that we're able to eliminate anything that is causing problems or trouble and clear it out of the way so that the client can get busy moving on and creating the life that they so do want to live. So I guess in lieu of no questions, I'll just sum it up here and move along my way. And I'm sorry that I keep moving this. I found out, usually I've been told that I have to put the camera sideways, and when I did, the link guy Freddie said, no, it's crossways, so I had to put it the other way, and I don't have my stand fixed up that way, so this is why I'm a little bobbly, and I apologize. So, in essence, what are we going to do? When we do hypnosis for the soul, we're working at the root space, the beginning. We're looking at the beginning of their existence and and then we begin to connect them to this bodily existence, and find out the intentions, and find out what's going well and what isn't going well, and how do we make those changes, and what's the intention that we need to reinstate within that the person here in this life. We work through the subconscious, through the higher self, and then into the existential energy, or our energy that is not within ourselves but outside of ourselves. And we work through those areas, and we get answers. We go in and we poke and we probe, and we find out what's going on and how can we make it change. We do detox, we do originations, we do relationships, and there's one more I'm working on, but I don't quite have that finished. We also begin, usually what I do is I do one past life regression before we start the system, just so the client has a frame of reference, and then that gives us another space that we can go back and clear intention. In January, around January 15th, that's not the exact date, be watching out for the full program that it's going to be coming out, a series of hypnosis for the soul, in which we'll be able to work with and identify issues and problems, and be able to help you get to the root of the problem and get things cleared just like that. And those of you who know who hypnosis is, that's so important. Just like that. Well, I want to thank each and every one of you for being here with me today. Please, if you've enjoyed the talk, I'm so glad. Give me a message. Message me, Vibrational Institute at gmail.com. Find me on Messenger. You can go to my page, Vibe Institute, on Facebook, and just drop me a line, drop me a question. If you want to know more, the Hypnosis for the Soul is not up on the website yet, but all my other stuff is. So have a look around on my website, vibrationalinstitute.com. And join me tomorrow, same time, 1:35, when we're going to be talking about energy and clarity, and how therapeutic ketones can help you achieve more energy, more clarity, more focus, and guess what? Fat burning too. I mean to tell you. And I've got a lot to talk about that. That is so cool. Listen, thank each and every one of you for being here with me today. Give me a line, check my website, check my Facebook page. I'm everywhere. So just look for me. I'm there. Mary Kay Anderson. Bye for now.